Welcome to the Mike Davis Show. It is Monday, December the 11th, and do we have a show for you? We have all kinds of amazing things. We have the voice of the Jackets with us, but most importantly, it's Welcome Back Day.
What?
Amanda, welcome back to the show.
Hey, everybody.
Doesn't she look good?
Nah.
That's what happens when you don't have to do some podcast with me for 2 weeks. You feel so much better.
Mike, looking good is a relative term, and compared to the two of us, hell yeah, she looks good.
She looks amazing.
Hell yeah, she looks
Boy,
good.
way to pick a day. I have Casey in here and it's me in here, and you pick that day to come in and look good, right?
Yeah. Well, you know.
We didn't have Clay in. We didn't have anybody that was attractive and pretty, so we just, so you just had the two
Clay
of
was
us.
going to be here. Sorry, ladies. I took Clay's spot.
What a great segue, by the way, that I've got a face for radio.
Yes. I know. When they put cameras in here, I was like, oh, this gig's up. This is the end of this gig.
It's a good thing it's your building.
All right, we got to make a little bit of money, so let's do a couple of reads. Powell Heating and Air Conditioning, they've been serving St. Augustine for over 40 years. They are dedicated to customer service, it's evident in everything they do. From the moment they answer your call until the time they leave your home, they're working to make sure you're comfortable and confident about the care and service you receive from Powell. They've got a fleet of over 10 trucks and a 15,000 square foot warehouse stocked with parts and equipment, and they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That includes nights, weekends, and holidays. Powell Heating and Air Conditioning, 904-794-2665. I tell you, you got to have a friend in the heating air conditioning because it's hot and then it's really cold, and we're getting ready to get into really cold. So make sure that AC unit's working.
The weather's got multiple personalities, but you know who doesn't have multiple personalities? The team at South State Bank. They are a group of bankers you can count on. Their approach to building long-term relationships with their customers is the best in the business. If you are looking for a banking relationship you can depend on, check out South State Bank. They've got 3 locations to serve you in St. Augustine, State Road 312, State Road 16, and the beach. Or you can check them out on their website, southstatebank.com. They are a member FDIC. Also, Hebert, Kresge & Associates. They are a full-service local CPA firm with a team of skilled professionals dedicated to providing top-level service in the areas of tax compliance and planning for businesses, individuals, estates and trusts, audits and reviews and other accounting services, business valuations, forensic analysis, and litigation support. You can reach them at 904-460-0747 or online at hebertkresgecpa.com.
And Land Title of America, whether you realize it or not, when you refinance the sale or purchase of a home, there's a title company involved. Don't get stuck with some out-of-town title company who doesn't give a crap when you're faced with challenges. Stay local and choose Land Title of America. Just call or text Stephen Collins, 904-501-4481. He specializes in all types of real estate transactions. Land Title, your local title company, insuring America's land one title at a time because
they give a crap.
Yes, they do. They give a crap, and they're local guys, and they're wonderful people in this community. So, yes. Speaking of wonderful people in the community, let me talk to Amanda for just a second. Casey, welcome back to the show.
Mike, it's always a pleasure to be here, but I just want to make a comment that I was Billy Hebert's second client.
Yes.
And behind his dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, going back to when he was at Flagler College.
Yes.
As an accounting major. And I'm still with him. So there's got to be something for that, right? There's got to be
something for it.
Longevity, maybe it's because he knows my secrets and I don't want anybody else to know them, but there is something to be said for that.
He's played basketball with you a long time.
A long time.
He knows where the bodies are buried in your athletic career.
A long time.
Listen, I called you this morning. I appreciate you coming on the air. And I didn't realize Amanda was going to make it today. Mm-hmm. So I'm very, very happy to have you back.
Thanks.
And do you have an update for our...
So I've been resting a lot. I've only gotten out of my pajamas, I think, 3 times since my surgery. So while I'm the only woman on the 904, we are currently uterusless again.
Okay.
No uterus, and I'm happy
on
it's
the 904.
On the 904.
TMI.
Yeah, well, Amanda did a whole deep dive before she went out for surgery to let everybody know where she was going and what was going on. But Casey, it's.
I also have no uterus.
I don't either. I'm pretty sure.
That's why we're uterusless.
That's right. We do have a woman host. We're the only woman host. We're very progressive and forward thinking in ours. Because if you look around the morning show, there's a lot of dudes.
Progressive and Mike Davis in the same sense.
That kind of hurt, didn't it?
I'm struggling with that.
You kind of struggled a little bit there.
I'm just scratching my head.
I know. You're saying, what did he say? But first of all, welcome back to the show.
Thanks.
You and I were joking before the show. We really enjoy disagreeing with one another, but we have a lot of respect for one another, and those disagreements are usually lighthearted and fun. But you have taken on a different role the last few years. You have been the voice of the Yellow Jackets, and you had a great run this year with the team all the way to the state finals.
Been doing it about 15 years with my partner, James Guzman.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to get out of it so that I can spend more time off on Friday nights, spend more quality time with my wife, who disagrees with that plan. It's been about a 15-year run, 16 years with James Guzman, and we have a great time. And this year was it was a very special season.
So I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah.
It seemed like just yesterday that Rusty and the boys were doing it.
Right. Well, Jeff Holland once said to me, he said, I loved it when Rusty was doing the games because if you wanted to know what was going on, you had to buy a ticket.
Yes.
Jeff Holland, of course, longtime athletic director.
He was. Amanda, Rusty would give you this. This is Rusty, and I'm not kidding. It's 1st and 10 for the Yellow Jackets. Oh, that's a big gain up the middle for the Yellow Jackets. Let's see. We're now 2nd and 14. I mean, just all kinds of stuff like that.
My wife and I were in the car once listening to the game, and we got the call on the radio, the play-by-play on the radio. What an amazing play. I've never seen anything like it. That's just an unbelievable play by the Yellow Jackets. So we're going,
what was the play?
What happened? What, where, who?
You're back to Jeff Holland's comment. You had to buy a ticket. But they were really fun.
They were fun.
I would turn it on.
Pappy Schilling and Rusty.
I would turn it on just to listen to them, right? Because they were great. I mean, they were doing the best that they could. They were having fun doing it, but it was entertaining to just listen to.
Well, I will tell you that James Guzman is really good. It's the analogy to news is that James is news and I am editorial. Mm-hmm. Where James, where the ball is, what's happening, who ran the ball, and I'm the guy that kind of fills in. I'm the Tony Romo, so I can be wrong. Because it's opinions.
Well, it's due to you and the Yellow Jackets' success and Pete broadcasting their games.
Which is big, by the way. The partnership with WFOY 102.1 FM got the plug-in. Yeah. And the 904 app has been phenomenal.
They had, I think, 2,000 people watching the quarterfinal game.
And we had online, even with Bally TV, doing TV for the final game in Tallahassee last Thursday, which I know we'll get to. We had over 1,000 people online listening via the stream, not in their car on the radio, not in their kitchen in the radio, but no, it was big. It was big.
Well, and because of that, I get Fridays off. Because a few years ago, Pete started doing the Friday afternoon games, and he had 2 or 3 in a row that were home games. And he said, I can't finish your show at 6, get out there and set up and be ready to go at 7. So we're not doing Friday shows anymore. And I'm home in my driveway the next weekend at 4:30 for the first time in 10 years. And I went, I'm done with Fridays.
I just a little secret.
Yeah.
Pete doesn't always show up.
Well,
Pete sends guys out there and they do a great job, but Pete doesn't always show up.
I texted him for when the quarterfinal game must have been the second round of the playoffs.
It was, we had Middleburg first, then Escambia, then Choctaw, and then Fort Myers Dunbar in the semifinals.
I think it was Choctaw or one of the...
Choctaw would have been in the regional finals.
So I texted Pete the next day, and I said, that was a great broadcast. You did a phenomenal job. Pete shoots back. It was all Clay and Blake. They did a phenomenal job.
Blake does a great job on the board.
Yeah. Oh, they were, and we watched together the stream from Bally. And Pete was like, we're going to have to upgrade it. We're going to have to up our game next year. We're going to have to get a sideline reporter. I said, can you do replay? Because Casey could use replay.
Oh, no kidding.
If you could get replay, Casey would love to have replay.
Well, I would love to have replay, but I also don't like to have to come back and say, well, I was wrong. and just a little story on our relationship between WFOY and the 904 app in terms of those games, those simulcast games, because when you're watching it, you're getting James and I on our voiceovers from the radio station. We the first time we did this, when we went to commercial, 904 kept streaming whatever we were saying, and some of that on my part, not James certainly, may have been inappropriate and non-FCC compliant. So we figured that out pretty quickly.
Yes. It doesn't take but one mistake.
No kidding.
So your wife was listening that day.
Well, she never listens.
Well, that's fine. I'll come home. Doris just said, what was on the show today? I said, you didn't listen? She said, no, I never listened. I listen to you all the time. What do I need to listen to the show for?
No kidding.
Yeah, no, but great season for the Jackets.
Unbelievable. Undefeated, 9-0, District 3S champs, set up in part by a really tough non-conference schedule. I mean, Coach Brian Braddock, he schedules Bulls, Bartram Trail, Brunswick, and Georgia. So it's not like some of these college teams, with these directional schools, Southwest Missouri State Teachers College. No disrespect to whomever graduated from that institution.
It's a fine institution.
It's a fine institution.
It's one of the best stenographer schools there is.
What really makes this team special is a few things. Great blend of seniors. I'm going to mention some names because they're due.
And they need to be mentioned.
Bam Lyons, the running back, the safety duo of Ja'Kai Singleton and Julian Quintero, Drake Luskett, linebacker, Treverian Keenan, offensive tackle, Jock Johnson, defensive end, and Miles Simmons, wide receiver, along with the most unbelievable young talent I've ever seen at St. Augustine. Locke Hewlett, the quarterback, he's going to Wake Forest. He's a junior. He'll be a senior next year at St. Augustine.
He can chunk the ball.
Oh, my goodness gracious, can he chunk the ball. The wide receiver room, Carl Jenkins Jr., Trenton Jones, Samarian Wingo, Mike Wright, a defensive tackle, cornerbacks Braylon James, who's Brandon James' younger brother, and Jimmy Wheeler. That's one thing. The balance between passing and running the football. They average 272 yards a game passing and 174 yards running. Pretty damn good. Can I say damn, Amanda?
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Appreciate it.
You
I heard you say
can.
crap, so I figured.
Yep.
Yes.
We good.
174 yards per game. And then the coaching staff. Brian Braddock is a phenomenal leader and a football strategist. And he's got two things. He's got real veteran coaches like Jack Chapman, Will Hewlett, who runs quarterback camps. He's had Anthony Richardson as the client. And then defensive coordinator Max Mannon. And then you got St. Augustine alumni that went through the program. Joey Lippo, I got to read these. So Brandon James, the offensive coordinator, offensive line. Joey Lippo, wide receiver Marquise Merrill, linebacker coach Reinhold Schugert, defensive line coach Austin Lee. Just these kids that played for St. Augustine that are now coming back and giving back. And so you put all those things in combination: youth experience, run pass, and a great coaching staff.
And Braddock's an alumni, right?
He is indeed. He played guard for Joey Wiles.
Yep.
And he came back and he was an assistant defensive coach, and he became a defensive coordinator. He left for 3 years and became the head coach at Mandarin, turned that program around. And then when Joey Wiles retired, the logical choice was for Brian to come back.
Yeah. Now, is he a teacher at the school also?
He is. He's a math teacher.
Okay.
He's a math teacher.
And I think that's a really important thing that he is there teaching as well, right?
Brian is so, boy, he's got passion. He's got passion. Anybody that watches the 904 and when they shoot Brian on the sidelines or, watching the Bally, the final game, Brian has a lot of passion, but he loves those kids. He genuinely cares for those kids. And that whole coaching staff is phenomenal.
And is it true some of the fans will harass you before the game? And I'm mostly thinking of Brad Davis coming up and always talking to you before the game.
I fight like hell to keep the microphone away from Brad Davis because you never get it back.
You would never get that back.
And by the way, we kid. Obviously, he's a Davis that I like. Brad is obviously runs an accounting firm here in town, and he's been president. I don't think he is anymore, but he's been president of the Alumni Association.
I think he's still president.
Is he really?
I think that's a lifetime appointment.
Yeah. And by the way, for those of you on Facebook, that Catalina St. Augustine High School alumni group is a wonderful, wonderful group to join. If you don't belong, they cover a lot more than football, but they were a great source of news and information where they would glean things from the Jacksonville papers or the news stations and put it online for you.
Yep. No, they back when we had news.
Back when we had,
back we had other news. I mean, now the 904 now is the news.
That WFOY 102.1 FM.
That's we get all that. But so what's the what was your favorite game of the year? I know Bowls was a big game early in the season.
I think probably Bowls for a number of reasons. One is there's two. One was Bowls, and it's for a few reasons. One was the first game of the year. We go up to Bowls, that press box. It's like you're in a profession. I mean, you're like at a college press box. It's unbelievable, the facilities up there. Money talks.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
And it builds a lot of really nice things with names on it.
Unbelievable,
Yes.
unbelievable. And but it's really a cool place for the kids to play. But Bulls has had our number for the last few years, and we came out of there with a win to open the season. And Bulls obviously is always a strong
A
program.
late second win. Wasn't it late in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a late second win. The kids hung on, and it was just a great win. Very late win. Then the second is Fort Myer Dunbar.
Yeah.
Which was the regional, it was the state semifinal. Dunbar came up, and it was great because the 904 app was doing the game with us. Mm-hmm. And the Dunbar folks, they had a radio station there.
Yeah.
But they were watching the 904, and there were thousands of people, and probably half of them were Dunbar people.
Yeah.
And they were blatantly accusing the announcers, James and I,
Yes.
of being homers. Well, duh.
Yes, we are.
I raised my hand.
Yes. Guilty as charged.
Raised my hand.
Well,
but it was really fun.
It's rare when I tell you, great job. Casey, great job. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Well, I did. I got to do a couple of basketball games my senior year at Florida Southern, and I had met a guy, Craig Shaler, and Craig is still in radio, and he said, "Hey, we've got an opportunity. The local cable channel is going to tape the games, and they'll play them the next night, and they need somebody. I'm going to do the play-by-play. I need a color guy. I remember you're a basketball nut from 4 years, so
sure.
So all of a sudden we were the biggest homer guys that you could possibly get. There was a game, Florida Southern that year lost in the finals of Division II basketball. They were that good. They started the season and tied their longest win streak to start, and go to FIT, and they lose, right? So then we have the longest home winning streak. We tie that. FIT comes. We're like, we're going to mop them up this time. They have a coach, Folliard, who has a kid who's 6'3", and then they have a kid who's like 5'4", right? And we're like, well, it's a last second shot. We're up 2. You're going to cover the big Folliard kid. Make the little guy take the shot. They did exactly what I said. That darn kid hit the shot. We were so dejected on this. I listened to it later. I was like, man, we were really bad because we were all in for Florida Southern winning that. And it hurts when that happens because you're so tied to it.
Let's talk about Tallahassee.
Yes.
James was not able to do the game. So my son, who communication major from the University of Florida, done some radio, and he actually worked as a stringer for David Lamb, Frank Frangie, those guys. He was a spotter for the Gator radio broadcast for a number of years in the booth with Mick Hubert. And he came and he did the game with me. First of all, we had a big time, right? Father and son.
Oh, it's awesome.
Fun, a lot of fun. Now, there were some things he needed to be caught up on. Ray's Tire is the sponsor. Dean Petty is gone. He retired. Yes. God bless it. Dean, hope you're well.
Dean deserved to retire, right?
Of course he did.
That man worked. He was always there.
Of course he did. And a big supporter of Yellow Jacket football over the years and a lot of local activities.
Well, he played on the line with my cousin Wayne.
Oh, did he really?
Yes, he did. They were on the line together in the 70s.
Dean has been a sponsor for years, and the new ownership is maintaining that. And then we have St. Augustine Shores Golf. And the tagline with St. Augustine Shores Golf is where golf is still fun at the end of it. And so I'm doing a commercial for Ray's Tire. And I look at my son and he goes, where golf is still fun. And I'm going, no, Peter, that's not, I think you got that mixed up. He said, oh, my bad. Anyways.
Where car repair is still fun.
Where car repair is still fun. Yeah. Anyways, we were devastated at that game, at the end of the game.
We were, Pete and I were here live Thursday, watching it, trying to do our normal show, and we were like,
y'all didn't even try.
We were so distracted by the game. I wish people had turned us off and just turned you guys on instead, because we were giving like the Mystery Science Theater 2000 or whatever version of it, right? Pete and I were sitting there watching you guys do the game, watching it live and commenting on it, and it was hilarious. So.
Well, it's like the Peyton Manning, Eli Manning thing on Monday Night Football, ESPN.
Yeah, but those guys are entertaining.
And they know what they're talking about. So that game, 21-19, right? With probably 3 or 4 seconds left on the clock, Mainland drives down, convert a 4th and 7, get down to about the 5-yard line, kick a field goal, win the football game as time expires at the FAMU stadium, which is a really nice facility, beautiful campus in Tallahassee last Thursday. Just it was heartbreaking, and watching those kids just fall on the field and knowing their journey is over for many of them. And but then I got to thinking, and I mentioned on air that that's the way they feel right now. But as time moves on, they will remember the send-off that this community gave them when the buses left on Wednesday afternoon. They will remember the win against Dunbar and the joy of beating Bulls for the first time up in that place in a long, long time. They will remember those things. They will remember the walk through on Thursday morning in the FSU Fieldhouse. They will remember staying in the hotel, the night before the game. Those are the memories that they're going to wind up with. And the loss is heartbreaking, but at the end of the day, a hell of a journey.
That was very few teams get to go that far. Yeah. We've had state champions, St. Augustine being one, Nice being another one.
2005. And by the way, you talk about legacy. St. Augustine, 1565. Legacy is a big word. And Quinteris Cooper, the athletic director at St. Augustine High School, he was the quarterback of that team. Yeah. Brandon James, the offensive coordinator at St. Augustine High School, he was the running back on that team. So there's maintaining that historical past has been so important for this program. Yeah,
I think it's great. I mean, we mentioned Brian Braddock a little bit earlier, right? That alumni connection and people coming back and wanting to be a part of that. And I'm one of those guys that feels like the high school needs a major facelift and makeover as a whole. And I think it, unfortunately, is the one high school in the county that hasn't gotten the love that it needs. You got a bunch of brand new high schools, and I get that, but man, somebody needs to put some money back in St. Augustine.
Yeah, and this is the richest county, or the second richest. I can't recall. You make stuff like this up. Which is the richest or the second richest county in the state of Florida?
We're right there. One or two, somewhere right there. Yeah.
And obviously, building.
When you got that kind of money, you don't worry whether you're one or two. You got that kind of money.
Yeah, right. We're not Madison County. You're right.
No. We're not Putnam County.
We're not Putnam County. God bless. God bless. Every time I cross that bridge and I look at Rocket Man on the other side of the bridge, it just it makes me sad crossing over that bridge.
Yes.
But we build beautiful new schools. We float bonds. We build beautiful new schools, as we should, because our kids are the investment that we're making in our future as a society, as a community. Yep. But St. Augustine could use a little love.
Hey, and we got dissed a little bit. I don't know if you saw the Hornets.
I did not see it because I was on the air at the time, and I wasn't watching Valley Sports. I was watching the football game.
You guys were ahead of them by about a play and a half.
Oh, were we really?
Yeah, you were ahead of them. So if we had the radio feed on, you were ahead of them a little bit.
Well, that's wild because we were live.
Yes.
So they were behind us.
So they were behind. I don't know whether they were doing a delay or what was going on, but you were about a play. And I think
they probably have 3G. We have 5G.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
that sounds pretty technical, doesn't it?
That'll work.
Like I said, I think Pete's going to come up with a couple of changes next year. I think next year is going to be a little more investment in some of the stuff, and I think it's phenomenal.
A great the 904 app and what Pete has done, bringing high school football, visually, and WFOY 102.1. The commitment over many, many, many years. Chris Phillips and before Chris Phillips, the relationship between those two entities has been terrific.
Yeah, and even though we got named the Hornets, that was better, I think, than one of our original nicknames, right?
The Mullets.
The Mullets.
There's a great story on that. Back in I think it was the early '50s. We go down to Palatka. We're the Mullets.
Yes.
And we lose like 6-0, 6-3. I can't recall the score. Wasn't there.
A real NFL game like today, right?
Yeah, like 3-0 in Vegas.
3-0 in Vegas yesterday.
So that was not pretty. But the buses going home, and the Palatka fans had thrown dead fish over the power lines on the way home. And the coach at the time, sitting in the school bus, goes, "That's it, we're changing the name."
Yeah.
And they went back to the Yellow Jackets, which had been the name. It had been the Saints, it had been the Yellow Jackets, it was the Mullets, and then they went back to the Yellow Jackets. Yeah. This is, I think, early 50s.
So my dad was in the class of 60.
I was there when your dad was inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
The St. Augustine High School Hall of Fame.
And he actually was the quarterback that played the very first game on that field.
Oh, no kidding.
So the school was supposed to be done during the summer. They didn't finish it till Christmas. So they were still downtown at Catalina's. which is now
Francis
an
Field.
elementary school, but they were playing the games out there. The football stadium was done, so they played the games out there, and then they moved at Christmas time, and they all graduated from the new facility in 1960. So that is the story.
Yeah, there's so much legacy to this program, and again, wonderful schools in this county. Obviously, this administration with Tim Forson, with Paul Abedinoza, have done a terrific job meeting the needs for the most part, obviously with some restrictions on capital investment. But don't forget St. Augustine High School, folks.
Yeah, look, we think they've done a great job. We're just saying we could use some love down there.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think a cappuccino machine in the press box would be just wonderful.
I will see what we can do about
I
that.
appreciate that. By the way, A.D. Davis can make a contribution.
We could do the A.D. Davis cappuccino machine.
It's the Cass family press box.
Nothing speaks tough construction like a cappuccino machine. I got to tell you.
I think, I'll tell you what, we will plug it every single game. I'm just having a nice latte, skim milk, no foam from the A.D. Davis cappuccino machine.
That would be hilarious.
Frothy goodness. That's always been my motto about you.
But if I do that, you can't take one to Brad at halftime. You just can't take one to Brad and Trevor.
We don't let Brad in the press box because we never see the microphone again.
Listen, Trevor was he and Brad go to all the games. They were at the Bulls game, and I'm texting him, hey, big win last night. How was the game? Big win last night. How was the game? I expect it was fun, whatever. I get 15 minutes of video sent to me within 30 seconds. It's like my phone is melting from all the video that I'm getting from Trevor, right? And
those guys are big time fans.
But when I saw the video from Trevor, I got to buy him a better phone. I got to get him out of that flip phone and onto something that's a true Android where he can get that
An
video.
iPhone, right?
I don't know if that's going to work. Those things are still untested.
What, iPhones?
Yeah, I'm a Samsung guy. I'm an Android guy. So
Yeah.
He's the one.
I'm the one that blows up all the text messages.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. A choice is good.
What do the Jackets look like next year?
Excellent. Losing some of those seniors I mentioned, they're going to have to replace the safeties. The running game, there's a young man named, let me make sure I get the name right here, Trendell Anderson, that'll be, he averaged just under 7 yards, 50 yards per game, including a game that Dan Lyons was out and had to start. So he'll be there. The wide receiver room, 4 unbelievable wide receivers, 3 of them return. Locke Hewlett is a Wake Forest signee. He'll be back. Carl Jenkins Jr. is a phenomenal athlete. He had let me see how long that thing was. I think he had a 53-yard touchdown catch against Mainland. By the way, Mainland, on last Thursday, they have like 5 guys on their defense who are D1 signees or offers. Couple Florida, Tulane, App State, Arkansas. They were monsters. The number 11, a defensive end, McCrary was his name, T.J. McCrary. He was rated as the 6th best athlete of all high school football players by, I can't remember if it was Rivals or one of those recruiting services.
I saw no less than 3, probably more catches than that were Saturday, almost Sunday worthy catches, especially the one in the back of the end zone. I think it was in the first half. Our early scores were special team scores in the first half. Yes.
We had the opening kickoff, 97 yards by Trenton Jones to open the game, and then blocked a field goal and 75-yard return by Marquise King.
Yeah.
But there's just so much talent on this football team. Replace a couple offensive linemen, replace the safeties. I think we're going to be really good next year. Need a kicker.
Same division?
3. Don't know yet. It depends on school size.
It's crazy when I was playing, there was 4, it was 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A. Boom, that was it. And Florida has exploded with the number of schools, it's unreal.
Yeah, when you were playing, history was a lot shorter too.
Yes, it was.
The history books were a lot thinner when you were playing as well.
We still had peach baskets.
We had Naismith was your coach.
Yes,
right?
he was. Naismith would come down and give a little seminar. Yes.
Trivia question: what school did he coach at?
What school? Purdue.
Kansas.
I knew it was somewhere in the Midwest.
Yeah, Naismith. Where the hell were we?
We were talking about how old you are. No, and you completely forgot.
I can't remember what the hell we were saying. Amanda, help us here. You're young.
No.
Okay,
I'm
she's not
young.
paying attention.
No, we
That's what
were
she's
talking
doing.
about what classification next year.
Oh,
You
right,
said
right,
you
right.
don't know because...
Don't know because the school size makes that determination.
Yeah.
But there's also three other factors. You've got the S and the R and the U. You've got rural, suburban, and urban.
Okay.
So Rains in Jacksonville's a big school. They're probably 5 U. Bradford is a small school. They might be 2 R.
Yeah.
And so we are Bartram Trail is a big school, so they're like 6 S suburban. Big school, S for suburban.
Yeah. I can't figure out how they came up with rural, suburban, and urban. I'm trying to figure out how they... But the Florida High School Athletic Association has been doing kind of crazy things for me for forever.
All you had to do was watch their meetings during COVID on Zoom.
Yeah.
And know that, it's a joke. It's a political organization.
Well, I remember talking to somebody involved in politics about 10 years ago, and they were taking up for Arlington Country Day, how Arlington Country Day had been mistreated by the Florida High School Athletic Association. I went, do you know anything about Arlington Country Day? Do you know the recruiting that they did before you... I mean, now you can recruit. I mean, it's basically you can play whatever sport you want at whatever school and you move wherever you want to move to.
Yeah, there are restrictions. There has to be capacity at that school,
Yeah.
and there are some restrictions, and but you're absolutely right that the doors have opened up. The Tim Tebow recruitment is no longer an exception.
No, it's not. It's a run. And you can have a kid that plays football at one school in the fall and plays baseball at a crosstown school in the spring if he wants to. And they can't do a thing about stopping.
Yep. Well, they just can't transport you on the bus if you're out of the zone, and there has to be room in the school.
Jeez. Yeah, some of that is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Officiating. How was the officiating this year?
Sucks.
That good.
Yeah.
It was that good.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, and I used to coach high school volleyball at St. Augustine, and I always used to laugh because the game is too fast for the officials. A lot of retired guys, staying busy, who were no longer working, and it was like a hobby, or very few ex-players. The game is too fast for them. The game is too fast.
Yeah.
The game is just too fast for officials, and too many meetings. In the state final game, the line judge, the side judge on the one side, was probably off by a yard or two on ball spots than the guy on the other side of the field, consistently.
That's because they were both right-footed. That was the old John Madden thing, right? It's a left foot, right foot spot. Watch the official. If he goes up and plants with his, the foot that's in the right, if it's a left foot, right foot. That's what John Madden would
I just
swear
think,
by.
listen, and you need the officials to play the game, right? You need the officials to play the game. But I think the game's just too quick for them.
I think it's we had that issue with basketball officials.
100%.
I mean, basketball officials at the high school level, sometimes they just struggled. And if you were a good team, you tended to get some of the better officials. If you were a team that was struggling, you tended to get the brand new officials, which just made the struggle that much harder.
And they are worried about the most inane things. You're down at the 20-yard line. The coaches are 20, 30, 40 yards behind you. At the 20-yard line going away from the coaches, and they're worried about a sideline warning.
Yeah.
As opposed to an infraction, a real football infraction.
Yes.
Sideline warnings, they must have gotten a memo that said too many sideline, too much abuse of sideline. You need to clamp down on and give more sideline warnings.
Yes.
It's crazy this year. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
But that's officials.
How was the attendance at the high school this year? I'm assuming sell out
fabulous.
almost every time.
Oh, yeah, fabulous. Yeah. I mean, the bleachers, the student section did a great job getting students out there. The band, the Ancient City Regiment was out there. Seats were filled. People ringing the stadium.
Yeah.
It's an event. It's a community event.
Oh, it's a wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful
And again, Quinteris Cooper has done a terrific job as the athletic director, both in terms of the administration of those games, the management, the operational management of the football games, and also of making, fundraising, getting a new scoreboard and sprucing up, an old stadium. It's an old stadium.
Yes.
But the paint jobs and the planting of, the nice plants and
it's almost as old as me. That's how old it is.
It's almost as old as you.
Actually it is. It's 6 years older than me.
Yeah.
So I looked it up. It looks like the classification cycle is a 2-year cycle. So next school year, all of the divisions should be the same.
The same as they were this current year.
This
Correct.
current year, yeah.
And then they move around. Basketball's different, and they're all different. But our district we had Gainesville High School, we had Pedro Menendez, we had Clay, and missing one. Oh, Matanzas.
Yeah,
was our district.
Yeah, and that's a good for St. Augustine High. That's a good district.
Yeah, I mean those were all very winnable games. In fact, in fairness, we kicked butt at each one of those games.
Yeah.
But again, as I mentioned earlier, Brian schedules Bulls, Bartram Trail, Brunswick, and Georgia, and we're ready for the big boys. Bartram Trail's a great program.
Oh, Bartram is they've got some talent. They went, I think they were in the playoffs.
They went to they lost to Buchholz in the regional final.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you talking about that game while they were playing. So, all right. Anything else on the high school football?
No, just excited about next year. Okay. High school basketball has started. There's a lot of other sports going on there. Soccer started. A quick plug-in for Flagler College basketball, which is really entertaining basketball. If you're a basketball fan, Flagler College is really, really, it's a high-quality NCAA 2 program.
And if you are a local resident, admission's free.
It's totally free, yeah.
Yeah, it's a cozy gym.
Yeah, I mean, we have to go through the front door. I know you get like side access to the celebrity doors, but we have to go through the front doors. So.
I have been a long time season ticket holder Flagler College basketball because I just love the game. I love the program. Flagler College, Judd Damon and that coaching staff, the coaching staffs do just a terrific job.
Who's their big rival now? No, Embry-Riddle at one time was
still is a rival. It still is a rival. In fact, the Embry-Riddle game, Flagler lost pretty close game, maybe 2 weeks ago, and the gym was packed. Student section came out.
Good.
Gym was packed, and that was an exciting game. They're going to maintain that rivalry, even though they're different conferences now. But they're in a conference. It's an extremely athletic conference. If these kids were 3-4 inches taller, 2-3 inches taller, they'd be D1 players.
Well, that was the coach at St. Joe, Damon Stevenson, said that the conference that Flagler is in, from a basketball perspective, is almost as good as a mid-major conference.
100%.
They're just
D1.
Incredibly loaded talent,
Peach Belt
top to bottom in the Peach Belt Conference.
The Peach Belt, yep.
Yeah. So we do have to do one update on the city, and this involves when you and I both live on the island.
We do.
The city went before the state board to ask for land for a new fire station across from the amphitheater. Reuben Franklin was on here last week. He's the assistant city administrator, and they lost the vote. So,
was that because of funding that they lost the vote?
Nope. I think it was probably some pushback from local residents, right?
Voters,
which were county residents.
Right, because
for a city fire station.
I'm unincorporated where I am.
Yes.
You know where I live, and I'm unincorporated. We live less than a mile apart as the crow flies, but I'm unincorporated
and I'm in the city. Yeah. And it's a fire station that is antiquated, old, and needs to be replaced. But where do you put a new fire station?
At the same time, how do you deal with that traffic? We have a mutual friend who had a son lost on that tragically a number of years ago.
Yep.
How do you deal with the safety of the street? I was the interim. You know this. I was the interim director at the lighthouse I had a 2-month gig there for 7 months.
Yes.
And
they couldn't fire you, could they? They tried. Did they change the locks on you?
They did change the locks. But when I would go home, I would pull out there by the alligator farm, try to make a left going south.
No,
that's a tough place to turn left.
Bad idea.
Yeah. So it was not just a fire station, but it was the whole traffic safety thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's. I was talking to Reuben about that. During the week in the mornings, it's not bad. On the weekends, with people trying to leave that Lighthouse Park area with a boat, or people trying to get into the lighthouse, and then you get one good-sized truck or one good-sized kind of box vehicle, and if they're trying to make a turn the other lane, you're just blocked. You can't see a thing. It's very, very difficult to get across that street and that intersection.
It's tough.
Yeah, I think they need to do something about it.
I would sometimes make a right and then do a U-turn at Mojo's Tacos when it was possible.
Yes.
Just to try to get by.
Well, I told my kids when they were young driving, I said, you are not allowed to go up to that, to A1A and make a left and go back towards town. You have to go through the neighborhood and come out at the light at Matanzas.
Matanzas, yeah.
I said, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, that's a tough corner.
And I still follow that rule to this day. I'm like, Saturday, 2 o'clock, I'm going to the light.
Yep.
And then sometimes I get to the light and I see the traffic is backed up well past the light.
Just keep going.
And I just turn right and go over the 3 kilometers. I'm like, I'll just go around. I got this. I'll just go around. So politics today.
Yep.
You and I are on opposite sides of the political spectrum for the most part. Not 100%. I mean, there's things that we would agree on. Just what's your broad stroke? I look at what you think's going on politically with both parties. And is there any hope for sanity next year as we go into an election year?
The short answer is I don't think anything short, in my opinion, nothing short-term changes. I think the best thing we've got is divided government, so neither side can do something really, really stupid. Mm-hmm. I do still believe in the Constitution. I know some want to abolish the Constitution, but
I love the Constitution.
Yeah, I think the Constitution's a beautiful thing, and the separation of powers is a beautiful thing because
Yes.
it makes sure that the whack jobs on either side can't have their way. But my biggest problem with politics today, we do see things differently on many issues, but we walk out with continued respect for each other and friendship. And I think that the politics on both sides are focused on division as opposed to reconciliation, unity. And I think that's too bad because if hypothetically, you've got a really whack job idea on something, and you don't get your way because I have a different opinion and we find something in the middle, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Well, but I think what's happened, and one party always accuses the other one of doing it. But
Both parties do that.
But they both do this, right?
Yep.
And what they both do is they gerrymander, right?
Yes,
So
New York in one way and Florida in another way.
They both do it, right? You because of computers.
Eldridge Jerry, by the way, 1800 Maryland. Go ahead.
Go look at, if you want to see some districts that are screwed up today, go look at the congressional districts in Maryland. Go look at
Are
them.
they bad?
They ring around.
Is it kind of like, what was the woman's name in Jacksonville whose district ran? Corrine Brown. Is she out?
Yes. From jail, too. I think.
Yeah.
She's out of everything.
That I knew. That I knew. But that
Amanda's going to look that up.
That was the craziest flipping district. If you looked at it on a map, it was like a serpent or something.
There
going
were
all the way
places that it wasn't as wide as this room.
Yeah, it was just crazy.
Yeah. But so both sides do it, right?
Yes.
So what I think the net result of that is because they have so much data analytics about who lives there and what they're, how often they vote and what the likelihood is, they're always trying to get a Republican +2 or a Dem +2, depending on what state it is, right? And where they're at. So we don't have as many districts up for play anymore. You used to probably have 50 or 60 districts that were up for play.
We have maybe 20 or 30 districts in America that are competitive. So because of that, right, there's going to be, it's rare that you're going to see these big swings. Yep.
And the other thing is, you're not now competing for the middle to win a race. You have to win your primary.
Yeah.
So that means
and the primary are the zealots on each side.
Yeah. So the majority of the people on Democrats have to win a primary.
Yep.
So they can't cooperate with somebody on the right, and the people on the right can't cooperate with somebody on the left because they'll get primary.
And I think that cable news and social media has played a role in this. In terms of that how can we divide ourselves further as opposed to how can we bring ourselves together? To me, that's the thing that concerns me.
I completely agree with that. But I mean, people will ask me.
Wait, hang on.
Yeah, I completely agree
Amanda,
with that.
could you
Mark it?
Are you still a notary?
Yeah, we'll mark that.
I was going to sign it in blood if you wanted me to. I mean, I have no problem. But I think that that has divided this country. People will ask me, I said, where do you get your news? I said, not on the nightly news. I said, I quit watching the nightly news a long time ago. I quit watching any brand of commentary news. The only one I can put up with right now, Casey, out of all of them is Greg Gutfeld. That's the only guy, because some of his stuff is funny. It's the only way I can
for
watch
entertainment purposes.
That's it. I can't.
Yeah.
I read a lot of news, but I can't watch it anymore.
I find certain people who, over the last few years, I have grown to trust from an integrity standpoint and from a connection standpoint. There are people like Richard Haas at the Council on Foreign Relations. There are people like Peter Baker at the New York Times, who there are people like David Ignatius at the Washington Post, who I've grown to trust for being truthful and not trying to lead or sway. That's partially bullshit. Can I say?
Yes, you just did. Yeah. Pete's paying all the fines tonight. Don't worry about it. He made so much money off St. Augustine High School. You go right ahead.
I just think that everybody's got an opinion, and that's going to come into whatever you do. It's natural for that to happen. But I think there are certain people they come across with integrity and credibility and knowledge, and I read them.
There's a few I can, right? And there's some that I disagree with vehemently, but I enjoy reading them because I'm just kind of curious to what it is. But I think every year that I've watched it in the last 15, 20 years, it has gotten so much more partisan on both sides. It's like, I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. I know where I believe. I know what I believe. I know what day election day is, and I'll show up and vote on that day, and I'm good to go. But I don't need all that other crap that's clogging down my thought process.
It makes me sad that you have families that can't have Thanksgiving dinner. That's not a joke. That's not that's really happening in this country.
Now, it 100% is. There were a lot of heated conversations around our house a couple of years ago, right? And I had to look at my kids that were young. I said, hey, time out. I said, you are judging the world. You're judging your parents and your grandparents through a lens that didn't exist when I was your age.
Right.
Remember what I'm about to say to you. I have no idea what lens your kids and grandkids will judge you by, but you're going to feel about it the same way I feel about being judged.
So indirectly, are you saying that the older you are, the wiser you are?
No, I
was hoping you're going that direction.
I would love to say that, but I have said a lot of things that are unwise.
Because I know we're on video and people don't really realize that I'm older than you.
They do. They can't. It's hard to tell. It is. No, there are people that the scariest thing for me is when someone comes up and says, "Do you remember what you said to me one time?" And I'm like,
nope.
No,
I don't even remember your flipping name.
Is this good or bad, right? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? And occasionally it's like, I can't believe I said that. I remember saying that now that you mention it. And then there's other times like, thank goodness I said something positive.
Just to kind of put a wrap on this thing or a bow on this thing.
Yeah.
I think that there is more that unites us and there is more commonality than what divides us. And I think we forget that.
Well, I do, right? But it's the same thing. If you talk about the news, right? When I was a journalism major, there was if it bleeds, it leads, right? So the more outrageous it is, those are the stories that got
Of course. No, that's going to get the headline.
And so people,
unless it's the Record, that's going to be a story about Daytona Beach.
Well, I don't know if they still do stories about it. It depends what USA Today tells them to run. So you don't get the positive news.
No.
And I think the more that all of these stations go for ratings, there's so many positive things that are going on. Right? You just talked about a whole bunch of athletes that worked to get to the state final game and barely lost. There are so many positive stories out of that, but none of that got covered.
And by the way,
none of it.
The demographics of St. Augustine High School, you're making a dotted line link between this conversation and the prior about football. That team is a melting pot demographically.
Yes.
In terms of ethnicity, in terms of economics, not gender, but not that I'm aware of. But that team represents those kids coming together from all sorts of different places, coming together with a common goal. Well, why the hell can't we do that as a society? Okay, hang on. Let me find that soapbox I just jumped on.
I think we do to a large part every day. But I don't think anybody wants to talk about it. They'd rather talk about the one instance where somebody's a jerk than talk about all the instances where people got along with one another and worked together through different opinions. I
think that social media plays a big role in that.
Yeah.
I think that to your point, gerrymandering and the lack of competitiveness in politics plays a big role in that. I'm really scratching my head. I was a political science and history major. And I scratch my head sometimes trying to figure out how the hell can we move to a multi-party system and build coalitions so that things can get done from the middle.
I don't, boy, I would love to see that in one regard. Because I think if you're, I've been a lifelong Republican and
I'm a registered Republican.
And I'm not very happy with a lot of the stuff that my party is not doing, right? To me, there's stuff that you should be doing. And I kind of look at it and shake my head and go, I am just tired of the lip service. I'm tired of watching you guys say we're going to fix something. My prime example was healthcare, right? We're going to get rid of Obamacare, right? We're going to get rid of Obamacare. We have a plan. These were the guys that knew if they ever got a Republican in the White House that they would have an opportunity to change this, but never believed they'd get a Republican in the White House. So it was almost like they said, hey, this is a 13-week class. At the end of 13 weeks, you got to turn in a term paper. And they're like, we got it. They never wrote the term paper because they never thought they would get to the end of class.
I actually think that they believe voters have no memory.
There's a little bit of that, too. Yeah. They'll forgive me for me lying to them about this for years and years. Yeah. And then Trump gets her like, hey, he shows up and says, well, you got a plan. You've been telling the voters you got a plan. And they went, we don't have a plan.
Yeah.
We got nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were telling you if you gave us all this power, we'd do something about it. But we didn't think you'd really listen to us and vote us in.
But that also goes back to the districts. I mean, I found Corrine Brown's district. So it's the purple was Corrine Brown's district. Mm-hmm. And that's absurd.
Like, of course it's absurd. It's a serpent.
You don't know who is the fellow constituent with districts like this. No. Like, give me counties or split up counties. Don't give me this crap.
Isn't that amazing, Amanda? Look at that thing.
And the thing on the right, the green, those are the improvements. That's the improvement.
Well, in fairness, it is an improvement.
I mean, an improvement.
It's a little bit more like Italy.
Yeah.
It's becoming a little bit more.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the dirty secrets about minority districts. So the one group that bought into minority districts as much as the minorities did was Republicans. Because they said, you know what? We'll give you a minority district. Because then if we create a district like that, we've made the districts around that, the 5 around it, more Republican leaning. And that was one of the dirty secrets about minority districts that came along in the 90s.
I don't think there's anybody innocent in this mess.
No. Yeah. All right, what time is it, Amanda?
It's 5:51.
Ooh, question
we got
time.
some questions. All right, plenty of time. I got to see what we got here. You've got my questions.
Oh.
But you have your answers written there.
I have my notes already.
All right, so what makes you feel unstoppable?
All right, this is corny.
Okay.
My faith in my family. Mm-hmm. You know, they give me courage. They got my back. I'm a persistent, I was going to say MF.
Yes.
But I'm a persistent person. Mm-hmm. But my faith in my family because I've got a backstop. I've got, a foundation.
Amanda?
So his answer was really serious and mine is not at all.
I cannot wait to hear what. Don't say Dolphins.
No.
Okay.
The Miami Dolphins?
No. Like many girls? No, of course not.
Thank you.
Sports ball, come on, please. What makes many girls feel unstoppable, in conversations I've had with my friends, is pretty underwear and sexy shoes.
Okay, I'm good with that.
I'm not wearing either. Just for the record, I'm not wearing either.
Are you a boxer?
We didn't need to know.
Are you a boxer guy or a jockey guy? Depends.
Depends, yeah. Now, my joking answer, I think your answer was perfect and spot on. My joking answer would be bourbon.
Bourbon.
Right, bourbon makes me feel unstoppable, which is probably a really
Mine is Cabernet, but okay.
Cabernet, yeah. Next question. Do you think dreams have a deeper meaning,
No.
Amanda?
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like dreams get labeled as this like big all-knowing, removing the veil sort of thing. And maybe they can in some forms, but I don't know that every single thing has a deep meaning in a dream. I mean, my daughter just had a dream where she was being chased by spiders. I think that has more to do with her watching Harry Potter than having some sort of deep psychological
connection with spiders.
Epiphany about spiders.
My answer is much shorter. No, psychobabble.
So the only thing I will tell you is a lot of that I agree with, but I do think if you dream about people, I really actually, and especially if they've passed away, I almost feel like they're visiting you in your dreams. Yeah. I almost feel like they kind of stop by to say hello to you. And it doesn't matter what the dream's about. It's that they were kind of in the dream.
Don't know why, how, but there's absolutely a spiritual connection to the next world. Yeah. I can't define it. Yes. I can't, but there's just too many. Yeah.
I just think that dream, because I would tell people, they say, well, I had a dream about my mom or my dad who had passed away. And I'm like, well, that's really, they stopped by to see you last night, right? They were able to kind of connect with you through that. There's been some great answers on here. Melissa had coffee about what makes her unstoppable. Yep. That's a really good thing. A hug. I would say a hug from my wife, not a hug from Casey. That would not make me unstoppable. Make me uncomfortable.
Well, now that we know you're not wearing underwear, I can understand why.
I didn't say one way or the other. I didn't say a thing. What is something you're really bad at? Hosting a podcast. I would like to say that's something I can need lots of improvement at. But
I am Mr. Fix-It. carpentry, appliance repair. The pool heater. Yeah. My wife.
You're bad at all of that.
I'm terrible. You can't. To be bad, you have to do it.
Yes.
And I don't do it.
Okay.
My wife goes to Home Depot and she's in the aisle and she says to the guy, "I need such and such to fix the toilet." He goes, "Here it is, and here's the part you need, and tell your husband." She goes, No. Talk to me.
No.
Now I lived 200 nights plus 250 nights in hotels, so I would just call the front desk.
Call the front desk. Now, Amanda?
I am terrible at music trivia. I know lyrics, but I have no idea who sang the song. I have no idea what the band's name was. I don't know the title of the song. I could probably sing it for you.
Hang on, I'm writing Thursday music trivia. I'm writing this down for Thursday's trivia.
Great, thanks.
My singing, I can't sing. I'm horrible. I have no rhythm. Troy says I've seen you at the amphitheater, and occasionally you'll clap with the rhythm, but it's only an accident. It's not something that's on purpose.
My wife is an unbelievable singer of weddings, funerals, concerts, and I am amazed at a person's at that talent that so many in our community have.
All right, a movie that you could watch every day.
Casablanca. I think the scene with where they sing the Marseillaise.
Yes.
In Rick's American Cafe is probably my favorite scene in the movies. And you've got love, you've got war, you've got the quotes are unbelievable in that movie.
So I look at that scene where
the Humphrey Bogart character?
Not Humphrey Bogart. It's the character Laszlo, Victor Laszlo.
Oh yeah, Victor Laszlo.
So Laszlo goes up to the band. And he's all fired up, right? The Germans are singing their national anthem or the national anthem of the Third Reich. And he's like, we're going to play La Marseillaise. What's the band do? They're all French. But what do? They look at Rick.
They look at Rick.
They're like, boss, should we play this, right?
Rick gives him the nod.
And Rick gives him the nod. He knows what's going to happen to him.
Yep.
But he's the guy that makes the sacrifice. Laszlo didn't make the sacrifice. Rick made the sacrifice. His bar got shut down, right?
Yep.
And he still paid everybody. So.
Well, that's because there was gambling.
Yes. Yeah, shocked.
Sure.
To find you're winning. So I could probably do that entire movie from start. You and I could sit here and I could do the entire movie line for line with that. Yeah.
Greatest movie.
All right.
I could watch Princess Bride every day.
That's another great
Princess
movie.
Bride.
What's the line they keep saying?
Inconceivable?
No.
As you wish.
As you wish?
No. I've come to kill.
My name is Inigo
Montoya.
That's it.
You killed my father. Prepared to die.
Right.
That's it. I love that line.
Yes.
I love that line.
Yeah, that's another great movie. I'll go a little bit funnier on it, right? Tremors. Tremors is just, if it's on...
That's a really good movie.
I'm like, Tremors, because I love Kevin Bacon in that. The other one that I thought was hilarious as a kid, and my brother and I will text each other if it's on, it's A Mad, Mad, Mad World.
You missed a mad. And by the way, I'm going to spoil the ending, the W at the end.
The W at the end.
My favorite line in that movie is, I think it was Jimmy Durante. He's lying there.
Yeah.
On the side of the road, and there's a metal bucket, and he kicks it, and it goes down the hill. Yes. And the line is, well, he kicked the bucket.
My favorite part of that is where they're all trying to figure out how to divide it up, and it's not Buddy Hackett, it's Jonathan Winters.
Jonathan Winters.
And Jonathan
he was
Winters.
A cab driver. He was a taxi driver. Yeah.
He was driving the truck.
The truck.
And he says, we figure this thing 17 different ways and 17 ways, and he takes a step back. And every time we figured this, and he takes another step back, right? So he's disengaging as he's giving this long speech. And I think it's every man or woman for herself. And he runs to the thing. I was like, it's on. That is just one of my favorite scenes of watching them completely break down.
Fabulous movie.
But that was another. All right, last question. Would you survive a zombie apocalypse?
In that, I have no flipping idea what a zombie apocalypse is.
So I'm taking you never watched The Walking Dead?
No. Never.
Okay.
I have no flipping clue, so would I survive? I don't know.
Probably not. I'm slow.
We've had this, so my boys all started watching The Walking Dead, and then I got watching it, and then they quit, right? And they've ended some of the series. I got to go back and watch like 10 episodes to catch up, and I'm just like, I think The Walking Dead killed me. I just think I can't watch the apocalypse. But one of my sons said, Dad, why would I want to live? Every day somebody wants to eat you.
That's what my dad says.
He said, I'm tapping out on day one, Dad. And I'm like, I kind of want to hang around and see what happens. He's like, no, I'm out.
I subscribe to BritBox and Acorn so I can watch British detective shows. I have no interest in the whole zombie
British
thing.
detective shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they have dentistry? Do they have a British dentistry show? That's the show I really want to see.
Yes, it's 5 minutes long. And it's,
So my dad's a doctor, and he says if the nuke is coming, he's running towards the mushroom cloud. He wants no part of a post-apocalyptic world. And I'm like, you're our medical officer. He's a doctor. Like, you're the one that makes sure that we all make it to, carry on the Grigsby name into the future. And he's running for the cloud. We're done.
Have you ever seen or read the book or seen the movie On the Beach by Neville Shute?
No.
It is apocalyptic. A U.S. submarine in Australia after following a nuclear war, it's 1960s.
I read the book in high school.
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I mean, your emotions and the things that book makes you think through is tied to this. Boy, isn't this a fun show?
Yeah, we read Alas Babylon, so it was a different post-apocalyptic.
Thank you for all the work that you did at the high school.
Always listen.
The voice of the Yellow Jackets.
It's fun. It's fun. James Guzman and I, we've enjoyed it for a number of years. Look forward to it.
So 20 more years.
WFOY 102.1
and the 904 Now app. Mm-hmm. The 904 Now app.
Sorry,
Pete, I tried, Pete. I really did. I'm going to get a text. Casey's not allowed back on the show. But no, really do appreciate that. It was a great group of young men. If you got anybody from that team that wants to come in and talk about the season in a couple of weeks, we'd love to say. We won't do another show after this week until the first of the year. So if they want to come in and talk, or Brian Braddock wants to come in,
I think that'd be a lot of fun. We're doing a show at 5:00 on next Friday. Are you on the air then? Next Friday?
Fridays, I'm off.
You don't do Fridays.
Oh, good. So we're not competing.
I'm an anti-Friday work guy.
We're not competing, but we're looking at doing a show at 5:00, WFOY 102.1, with Brian and a couple of players. Yeah. So kind of a wrap-up. I'd love to come in and do that.
If they want to come in here and do that, we've had a bunch of different high school students in that are involved in various and sundry things at the high school.
And by the way, just a shout out real quickly, Austin Reed, Western Kentucky, quarterback for St. Augustine High School. He's going to be at the East-West Shrine game in San Francisco, and he's in the Great Toastery Bowl in Charlotte, North Carolina. I think it's the 18th of December on ESPN.
The Toastery Bowl.
The Toastery Bowl, yeah. And then Sammy Edwards, Ryan Edwards' son.
Yes, another quarterback at high school.
Another quarterback at the high school is in the running for the Harlan Hill Award, which is the Division II equivalent of the Heisman Trophy.
He's one of 9 finalists. Or is he still
They lost. They beat the Fighting Okra of Delta State, and then they lost to Lenore Ryan, I think it was, in quarters or semis. I can't remember.
Okay.
But so the Valdosta State is done, but Sammy had an unbelievable year.
Good for him.
Unbelievable year. And he's in the running for that national award.
Used to play basketball with him and his dad at the Bo Clark father-son basketball camp.
Nice.
Really, really nice family.
Yeah, great. Edwards, great family. Yeah.
All right, and you'll be here all week?
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, Davey's here tomorrow.
Yep.
So you can at least show up with Davey.
I love Davey.
Yeah, and then we can figure out what underwear Davey's wearing and if he's got nice shoes on.
Davey will come in the underwear.
He probably would. All right, this is the Mike Davis Show. Thank you, Casey. Amanda, it's great to have you back.
Thanks.
And we will be back tomorrow. Tune in tomorrow morning for the morning show.
Bye.